Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omni video, and today we are going to do a character guide on Vaan. Vaan I know is the first one I'm doing in this cycle just because I was really excited to get him out. Vaan is a character I actually really like, and as you can see, I've got him fully greened and I've got his blue armor, so he's ready to go. Actually, if I want to be cute here, I could throw, sure, let's throw the Ultima weapon. Terra was holding it, but sure, let's throw the Ultima weapon. And this is a very highly, this is a sublimate 4 out of 5. So sure, let's go ahead and throw that on our boy Vaan there. So sure, let's go Ultima weapon on Vaan, make him look even better in this video. This will be a pretty beefy looking Vaan here. So the general idea with Vaan is he's just a very hard-hitting magic dealer. He does have some elemental stuff in his kit. He does imperil. So he has a bunch of different elements. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. So it's good because he imperils like all of his elements. So like he'll have weakness damage. The only thing is if bosses absorb, he can get locked out of fights. So that's the only downfall. But the way that the weakness damage and the enchant imperil works, that does help him. Because back in the day, weakness damage still would get resisted. So they did change that later on. So Vaan is a lot more usable now. Before, people would shy away from him because he had too many elements. But now it's not so much a detriment. It's only if the elements get absorbed. I've even done Lufenia fights with Vaan where like one of his elements gets absorbed, but he still overpowers the damage with the other elements. It didn't really matter. So you can even squeak by in some absorb fights and still get away with using Vaan. So in this video, we're going to look at the artifacts, the spheres, do a little character guide, little profile. We're going to do a little showcase there as well. Before we jump in, some characters do have extra weapons available, and Vaan actually has 2 weapons available that you might not be aware about. So I definitely want to tell you guys about those. So one weapon is this one that I'm showcasing right now. It's kind of this black sword here. This is the Lila Edge. So this is purchased from the power token exchange. That's the only way you can get it. It is a 15 CP weapon. It increases his attack and max brave by 20% for a certain number of turns after breaking an enemy. So that's actually quite good. So I would recommend picking that up. He also has a mannequin weapon. The mannequin weapons come from Act 2, Chapter 5. I've done these in a couple of my videos. So just if you go ahead and beat Act 2, Chapter 5, do all the stuff in there, you should see these weapons naturally pop up for all the protagonists. This one adds 10% damage to his S1 and S2, which is really good on Vaan because his skill 1 and skill 2 are like his most powerful attacks. Like you just ramp up, like it's crazy. So his skill 1 and skill 2 is actually very vital to his kit. So the mannequin weapon is actually quite important. So if you can get that, that's extra damage as well. So my Vaan is fully kitted, ready to go. You can see I got his costume. I kind of like Vaan. I have no attachment to Final Fantasy 12. I actually tried playing it and actually hated it. But I like the character designs. I like the characters. The thing about DFFOO is they've made me like characters for Final Fantasy games I don't like and for games I've never played. Like I really like Rem and I've never played Zero. So DFFOO is a pretty cool game that way. So let's go ahead and look at his artifacts. We're going to look at the spheres and all that fun stuff, right? So Vaan's pretty basic where you just want attack and max brave for the artifacts. So right there. I don't have 3 of them yet, so I was doing some iBrave ones because brave gains are pretty good on Vaan. But yeah, just go attack 108, max brave 330 is pretty much what you want to get there. You could technically, if we go back, Mighty White Whirl actually isn't the worst option. Actually, I'm going to change my iBraves to Mighty White Whirl because White Whirl is pretty much my go-to attack. Red Spiral is also good. I think White Whirl is better for multi-target fights, and Red Spiral probably better on single target. We'll talk about that in the showcase, but that's the 15 and 35. White Whirl is the 35. Very good attack. So we're going to hop into that. And then the spheres here. He's pretty generic because he's like a damage dealer. So pretty much on the A slots, you really want brave damage or attack. There isn't like a certain one that's best. You can do magic attack up also. And there are some like 15% magic attack up because Vaan, it can be deceiving because he has a sword, but he is actually all magic damage. So I just have locks on there just because at the time when I got locks, I'm like, oh, I really like Vaan. So like Vaan was good at the time I got locks A sphere. So I just put it on there. But as long as Vaan's not being targeted, 10% up for 6 turns, don't mind that. Full HP, Vaan's own sphere is fine. Like if you're full health, you're going to get an attack buff, so that's not bad either. Once again, if you have brave damage up, that's good as well. On the E slot, the thing with E-Slot, there's a lot of like debuffing spheres, but I would avoid that with Vaan. You really need to give him max brave and attack on these. So like I have Kefka's, so when he inflicts a debuff, which Vaan does, magic attack up. So magic attack up with Kefka is pretty good. There's also what Yuffie and Emperor, they're also just like attack up ones. So like you could do those as well, right? So those are pretty good E-slots you could throw on there. All right, so we're gonna hop into Edgar's intersecting wills. I originally was gonna go into Irvine's, but I didn't realize those bosses when their orbs pop, they get like super resisting. You can barely do damage to them, and I really want to show off Vaughn's damage. So we're gonna hop into Edgar's here. I know the damage should be pretty good in here, so we're gonna go ahead. Although I can't really do launching in here, so I won't worry about doing launching. So let's just put a different here. We'll just throw a Mid-Atelion so we can delete turns, which actually that might not work in here either, but whatever. And then let's go ahead and throw a Frit on. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm curious to see how much damage Vaan can do like during his burst phase, because he does deal like before he got the C90 update, he was doing like insane damage already. So he was doing back when he got his BT plus originally, or his BT originally, he was doing like 700k from like his 35 attack, his skill 2. And that was well before like the million damage clip came around. So his damage is crazy. So we've got Vaan here right away, right? So the main mechanic that Vaan has is his red spiral and his white whirl. That's his skill 1 and skill 2. These are attacks that build up. You have to use them once to get the plus version, and then once you get the plus version, or you have to use them once to get an additional attack, and then twice to get the plus version. I believe is how it works. And then once they have the plus version, they're doing like insane damage, so they get a little bit better. So you got to stack them up a little bit. Now you notice that they only have 6 turns, which isn't a crazy amount, but his LD is what helps with that. So we're going to go ahead and pop the LD. I usually lead with the LD with him, so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to lead with the LD. Now, the LD attack itself, we'll see how much damage we get here. So, 780k a piece, like that's not bad. That's definitely improved over where it was. It used to not do like a crazy amount of damage, right? Now, we are running the Garnet Ramza sandwich team to make Vaan look really, really good, but he doesn't have to be with these guys to be good. Like he does a lot of damage. So we're just going to start getting Ramza and Garnet set up for their support. Just by doing what we need here, we're going to go ahead and throw some calls down, do all that fun stuff. Okay. Try to get them as set up as possible here. We're going to use the AA with Garnet. Yup. Let her follow-ups go. Yup. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and put Divine Judgment down. And then with Ramza, we'll try to get his shout maxed out. I might not have enough time because I kind of want to get at these guys before their orb pops, because once their orb pops, it's not lethal, but they take a ton of turns, and I have gotten killed in this Lufenia, and I don't want to do that. So I'm probably going to jump into Vaughn's burst sooner rather than later. So let's see. Our shout buff. So let's go and do one of these, do a little delay. Get our shout buff going. Yep. And you can see the shout buff. This is a really cool. So the new update, it seems really simple, but I love it. So characters that have stacking buffs turn gold when they're maxed. So you see Ramza's shout buff is maxed out. It's so nice to see that gold on there. I really, really like that. Okay. So after using the LD, this is how you get the longevity. You see now my skill uses are unlimited. So the green skills won't get used up. And you have this for 3 turns, I believe. So what's going to happen is I'm going to use White Whirl. Now, White Whirl basically is wind and holy damage. Red Spiral is ice damage on it. So he has different elements in his kit, but his attack should basically imperil anyways. So unless the bosses absorb, he's not going to get locked out of fights. He'll only get locked out of fights that absorb. Now you see that was just a single little hit there. Didn't look crazy, right? But we build it up, and then once you build it up, the damage is insane. So we're going to let Garnet do her thing. Even Garnet's overhead, you can see the 4 on it turn gold. So now we know when the Eternal Darkness is going to pop. If you're not paying attention to the number, you can kind of just see the gold there. That's really cool. Okay, so we're going to let Ramza. So we can get Ultima off, and then we're going to go in the burst phase, and we're good to go. So we'll have all the burst effects stacking, other than Vaughn's own burst effect. But that'll be fine. We can get in the burst phase, and I'm not going to lie, these bosses, they're at 65% right now. They might be completely melted by the time we're done with this burst phase. Let's see what Vaughn's got here. And we've got All right, so yeah, let's just hop let's just hop right into burst phase. Now, here's what I'd recommend. Once again, I like leading with LD to get the free skill uses. White Whirl is typically better for multi-enemy fights, and Red Spiral is better for single target. What I like about White Whirl, we'll just throw it down here. So now you're going to see we get the Luminescence add-on, and look at that. The enemies have one turn of blind. So the holy part of it, so the first part is wind, the second attack is holy, and that's why we're getting the blind on there, which is really, really good, right? Let's go ahead and now here's the plus version. Let's see how much damage the plus version does. This should be really nice damage here. Yeah, 1.2 mil. And that's just his 35. Like he can just keep doing that. It's not like Machina where he needs a burst effect. It's not like Lock where he has to like set it up a little bit. He literally just has that now for the whole fight. He can keep pressing that button. Now we could level up Red Spiral. So let's do that. Let's get Red Spiral built up so we can see that a little bit. You can see that's single target exclusively though. So that's going to be maybe a little bit better on single target, but we get the splash with the 35. But Vaan is so easy to play because he's like literally like the ideal beginner character because you literally just mash his 15 and 35 and you're good. So let's do another Red Spiral. Start getting that built up. Now we got white out, right? So now if we look at Red Spiral now, I'm just gonna click it here. Yeah, it's still just ice. I was wondering if it got another one, but yeah, that's fine. Let's check out the EX. So this is the C90 update. This used to be a terrible button to press. Now when you see it, he does it twice. And look at the damage here. 1.5 mil with 500k splash. His EX is actually a good button to press now. And look at this white whirl. Now keep in mind, oh my gosh. Yeah, the damage is crazy. We didn't even like nearly maximize this because I like normally during the burst phase, you would just like spam whiteout. Like you wouldn't even do the red spiral at all. You just spam the leveled up one and just like grind. And here's the other thing: if you're doing enemies that launch and we were launching during that, like we definitely could have had them like just about dead. They're pretty darn close right now. But that's basically it. Vaan is super easy to play. Um, I'll try to keep going, but we could like honestly die here just because of their orbs are gonna pop, and I know they're gonna steal a bunch of turns. So we'll try it. But if we die, we basically saw everything we need to see, right? Now the one thing I didn't talk about is Vaan's burst effect. Yeah, and they got the blind there too. So you see, we'll get some misses. It's not like a guaranteed blind. Oh yeah, sure. Vaan just gets shot down. Okay, that's fine. But basically Vaan is super simple, and the burst effect I didn't talk about, but it's just generic party buff. So that's why I didn't like really recommend Vaan. Didn't really recommend him during my BT guide because he's really good. Like, don't get me wrong, but like there are other characters who have better burst effects that I think are more worth your tokens. But if you like Vaan, like you saw the damage, like we're spitting out over a mil with like 500k splash, like just by pressing the 35. And I could have used the LD again and spammed a bunch of free turns. Like his damage is almost second to none right now. Like it's really, really good damage. And like I said, lead with LD, just level up the 35, and I'll just do that, spam that whiteout like crazy. So, anyways, let me know what you guys all think of Vaan. The damage was pretty good. I was pretty darn impressed. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all in the next one.